Personal with me, Steve Bowledge. I'm at the Annunciation Byzantine Catholic Church in Homer Glen, and I'm with Father Tom Loya, and I really wanted to get to the bottom of what makes something against church and state, because a lot of people really misconstrue what the meaning of that is, and I figured what better person to talk to about is Father Tom.
Today, Steve, what we do is we take very, very pregnant words, powerful words, like phrases like separation of church and state. That's a powerful word. That's a powerful phrase. There's deep meaning to it. And what we do today is we take these words, these phrases that are pregnant, full of meaning and depth, and we sometimes use them as clubs, to intimidate people or to try to change people's minds, or we don't like what they're saying. We're going to kind of punish them for it. What we have to do is we have to back up and always ask people, what do you mean? Or what is meant by separation of church and state? You can't just throw that around like we do for a lot of terms today. Our founding fathers, what they did in the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, or the way they founded this nation, it was actually to allow people to be free to practice their faith. We have to remember who came to America, who came here and founded it. It was people who were persecuted for their faith. And one of the reasons they came was to be free of that. And you can be sure they wanted a nation that wasn't going to have persecution of faith and religion anymore, which meant, and this is really what it means in the Constitution, so-called separation of church and state, which is not in the Constitution. It's not phrased that way. What it means is that the government shall not mandate or designate any one particular religion to be the state religion.
So I'm listening to what you said, so in the Constitution, it doesn't say freedom of religion. It's kind of surprising to me because everyone says that, and it kind of implies that you can't have a mixture of church and state at all. And if you do, you're violating the Constitution. Does that make sense?
That's right, Steve. What our founding fathers meant was actually for us to be free to practice our faith, regardless of what it is, and not to mandate any one particular religion. That's really what they were after. This was not a restriction. Like, see, we've turned it around. Like, oh, we can't have prayer. You can't talk religion. You can't impose your religion on us. That's not what it meant at all. We flipped it around. Actually, it means the opposite. We're all free to practice our faith and our religion. And no one faith is going to be the faith of this nation. And the government cannot mandate that. Furthermore, this idea of separation of church and state is a myth in reality, because we influence one another. Let's face it. What happens in the state, what happens on the political level, is going to affect my parish. It's going to affect my people. And vice versa. Government has to be informed, and it's informed by faith, by religion. This country was founded on a Judeo-Christian ethos. In other words, what do you found a government upon? A whim, a trend, whatever's the latest fad? What do you found laws upon? There has to be some kind of universal, deep, enduring truths. And that's what this country was founded on. That's the so-called Judeo-Christian ethos. It's the founding laws on that kind of truth. And that, of course, is faith-based. It starts with a sense of a superior being, a God, who really sets the blueprint. God makes the blueprint. God has created us and defined what the human person is. We're made in the image and likeness of God. Now, that already tells you how to create laws. The laws, if they want to be true to a good society, a benevolent society, they would have to be consistent with that starting point, that we were made by God and that we were made in the image and likeness of God. Now everything flows from there. That means good laws that protect people, protect their rights that are intrinsic to us as human creatures, made in the image and likeness of God.
I'm listening to you talk and I'm asking myself the question, At what point did we really, like you said, we flipped it around? Well, now all of a sudden, if you talk about Jesus or God, and we're supposed to be based on a Judeo-Christian heritage, so it should be allowed. I know back in the old days they taught the Bible, but now if you mention Jesus at school, you're going to get in trouble. You know, and if you pulled out a Bible, you're going to get in trouble. It's just totally illogical. You got anything to say about that?
The reason this happened, Steve, quite frankly, is because it was actually the infiltration, conspiracy, if you will, of communism, of those ideologies that wanted to destroy this nation, to dismantle what this nation stood for. And one of the key things was to destroy that Judeo-Christian ethos, that sense of God. Also added to that, you had growing secularism, which basically, with secularism, the God of secularism becomes essentially materialism, living just here and now, not being held responsible for anything. See, religion, faith, makes us responsible. It kind of holds us responsible, and we don't like that oftentimes. So we want to get the religion part, the faith part out of there, so we can be free to just be and do whatever we want, and not necessarily be held to any kind of responsibility as a citizen. So it's a combination of the secularism, which means it's devoid, it's extracting out of our life that faith-based approach. It's a combination of that and, quite frankly, communism, which sought to infiltrate the Western culture. Here's how it works. In communism, there was a clash. They engendered a clash between classes, rich and poor. The thing in America, though, they couldn't do that because we have a middle class. So what they had to do is they had to come at us a different way to break down our culture. So they created things like getting faith and religion out of the classrooms, out of government, out of the public sphere, also separating children from their parents, and also making a class warfare. In other words, based on like racism, like social warfare. Not so much rich and poor in America, but now things like racism. This is what you see happening here. So this is all different ways that this anti-American, anti-Western civilization, anti-Judeo-Christian ethos was being attacked. And that communism was one of the ideologies that was dedicated to dismantling culture and civilization as we know it. Because this ultimately has its roots in evil, just plain evil. Because see, civilization, especially a benevolent government, like what ours was based on, is actually a way of making on earth, like we say in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We're supposed to, through government, things like government, we're supposed to make on earth a reflection of heaven. So everything is good here and fair. Well, evil wants to dismantle that. So what's it going to do? It's going to go after the kinds of structures of a government or a culture that makes the kingdom of God on earth. You see, so it's going to want to attack those things, attack our structures, our education system, families, faith, church, good government. These are all things that make the kingdom of God on earth. So if you attack them, then you kind of wipe out the presence of God. At least that's what they seek. So that's really what's behind all this.
You know, something happened last year. It was in November. We voted at our township, because I'm the township supervisor. I put it on the agenda to have a manger. And it was about Christmas, and the people in our area where we live, for the most part, likes the idea of a manger. Had a lot of compliments. But at the meeting, one of the ladies that was in the audience stood up and said, I will buy the manger and I will gift it to the township. And I thought that was really, really nice. After the woman volunteered to get a manger for us, another woman was called on, and she started ridiculing everybody in the room. And she started asking people if they were vaccinated or not. And, you know, it was pretty upsetting to the people on the board, and I'm sure a lot of people in the room. I'll show you the video and get your thoughts about it.
That's pretty
Christina
sick.
MC, I'm not sure if that's the last name.
That's me.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just coming here today to propose putting a manger in front of the township. I think what's going on in this country is demonic, and there's a lot happening within our own town that I think we all need a little bit more Jesus. So I propose that. I would be more than willing to donate it. I would donate my time. The community is more than willing to work on it together and do it as a project. Otherwise, I would be more than willing to donate it. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Okay, Ellen Moriarty.
Oh, well, of course, let me start with, I'd be happy to donate a Kwanzaa display too. So, let's put that motion before the board while we're at it. So, Trustee Rivera, are you vaccinated?
I refuse to answer that question.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Trustee Bonomo, are you vaccinated? Trustee Adolph, are you vaccinated? Trustee Connolly, are you vaccinated? Okay. Mr. Settler, are you vaccinated? Okay. Mr. Balich, are you vaccinated? Ms. Bozen, are you vaccinated? Mr. Porfilio, are you vaccinated? Okay.
What country do you live in?
So the,
How about you sign up on the sheet?
what's the problem? I'm asking a question. They can refuse to answer.
Point of order, please.
Yeah. Point of order, tell her to shut up. So,
Come on.
okay, so, yes, oh, I am a demon, baby. You have no idea.
Well, first of all, Steve, putting a manger scene up during Christmas time is appropriate to Christmas. Kwanzaa and other things are not. They have nothing to do with Christmas. If she's doing this for what we call the Christmas season, let's face it, everybody gets into the Christmas season one way or another. Even if you don't believe in it, because you might have a store, you're selling things, it's your big time for making your money, right? So you're enjoying the fruits of this Christmas thing, even though you may not believe in it yourself. So the Christmas thing is a very pervasive thing, a very, very pervasive reality. And what she's putting up, what she's proposing to put up there, you can actually say, has not much to do with religion. It actually is a historical fact. Jesus was a historical figure, and that's documented. And that event can be documented in the scriptures. So we're talking about actually even a piece of history. So anyone can put that up during Christmas time or even as a piece of history. Now, what the woman who was protesting it was very indicative of what happens when you buy into ideology. Notice what she was trying to do. Ideology, unlike reality, cannot reign because it doesn't speak to the human heart. It doesn't speak to actual history, to facts. Ideology speaks to what we personally want. And so ideology does not reign. It cannot reign over a culture because the culture won't by nature accept it. So it has to reign by coercion and intimidation. And this is what she was doing. She was intimidating by going around like an inquisitor, like the Grand Inquisitor. She had no right to ask that question because it has to do with your health, which you're not supposed to ask that question. Are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? And furthermore, she was buying in the ideology that the only way you can care about someone, she's drawing a conclusion, and she was basically holding court there. You are guilty of not being vaccinated, therefore you don't care about humanity. You don't care about people's health. As if the only way to care about someone's health is to be vaccinated or have a mask on. The fact is that many people who chose not to be vaccinated is because they precisely did care about other people's health, including their own or even their children. As we're seeing more and more by the science, especially if it's true science, we're seeing that it was not some black and white solution, that if you're vaccinated and you're wearing a mask, everything's fine and you're being a good, conscientious citizen. That is not true. And people knew it was not true even before as the science is creeping out now about these things, they knew that even before this. So they made a choice to protect their own bodies, the protection of their children in many cases, and even the protection of society. Masks and wearing masks can actually be harmful when you really get down to the science of it. So what she was doing was a perfect example of what is trying to destroy this country. And a perfect example of this inversion of church and state. This is a person who had totally bought into the ideology that's out there and tried to coerce that ideology onto other people. This is what you saw on display there. If she doesn't like a manger scene or somebody doesn't like it, don't look at it. There's actually nothing wrong with it. It's about everything that's good. And especially it's appropriate during Christmas time. Kwanzaa, anything else you want to put up there, has nothing to do with Christmas. So why put it up? You're trying to be coercive, you're trying to intimidate. You're not trying to celebrate or acknowledge the season that everybody in one way or another is a part of. Even if you don't believe in it, you get caught up in it. We call it the spirit of Christmas. You put things in your store and sell it that have to do with Christmas, even if you don't believe in it. So this was an example of the coercion, the bullying of ideology.
Christmas season is coming right now. And we're going to put the manger back up. And I know I'm going to have that person and a bunch more like her mad. How should I handle this?
I would ask this question. Is a manger scene at Christmas time a good thing?
Yes.
Then you put it up. And don't cave to intimidation. Be not afraid. And that's what God is always telling us. Be not afraid. Because what you're presenting is something good. By putting a manger scene up, or anything like that, you're saying you care about people. You're trying to bring upon earth this beautiful spirit, this beautiful reality of everything good, charity, fraternity, forgiveness. That's what the whole Christ event was about. You know, all the other things that people try to bring into Christmas, many of this has nothing to do with Christmas. I mean, and if anybody that wants to do anything having to do with Christmas, or what they call Christmas, the only reason they even have Christmas, it's not a holiday. Why would you even do anything during December 25th? Why do anything? What's the reason for that? Well, there was a reason. It has its roots in this reality of Christ coming on earth and saving us and preaching and doing everything beautiful and wonderful and holy. And that's what that manger scene is saying. So if you want to do anything that's even related to what you call the holiday season, you owe your holiday, your fun, and everything else that you want to do, you owe that to this event. This is the event that creates this so-called holiday season, even though it's not just a holiday. It's about a remarkable, incredible, great mystery that was hidden from all time and finally revealed, and the whole world benefits from it from all time. So don't be afraid. You're doing this because I love everybody. I love you. And I want to be a good supervisor. And I want to bring good things to this community. And this is a good thing. Enjoy it. If you know, pass it by.
Father, thank you for having me. And I just want to let us know the paintings of this church are absolutely beautiful. And God bless you.
Thank you, Steve. It was great speaking with you as always. And keep doing what you're doing. Be kind, be prudent, but be strong. Do not fear.
And to our viewers, thank you for joining us on Up Close and Personal. And I'm Steve Ballage. God bless.